Now it's just getting funky on us. Alright, Catanians, we are playing Cities and Nights on the first island, and I apologize because the in-game soundtrack played back perfectly on the recording on my phone, but for whatever reason, on its way through editing and to YouTube, it got lost. I don't know what the issue is, and I don't know what the fix is, so we're just going to roll with it. So this is just your standard Cities and Nights gameplay on the first island. And right off the bat, we see that Gray builds on the 8 brick 10 wheat with the 5 ore. Very good spot. And they do have 3-for-1 port options on either side of that 5 ore, but they decide to point the road inland. And I was very interested by that because I would have personally went straight down to go for the 3-for-1 port on the 8 brick, double down on the brick, and have a 3-for-1 port. So I'm curious to see what their thought process is with that. Maybe they're thinking that no one's going to really go for that 3 sheep, 11 or 10 wheat spot, or even relatively nearby so they can hop on it. We'll see how it goes. Now, for me, I had to go for the wheat. The 10 wheat was all right, but I really wanted the 4 wheat. So I do take the 4, 11, 3. And I was really torn because I really wanted the 3, 4, 8 spot. But I was wondering if I should get the 3 sheep, 4 lumber, 8 lumber spot. But instead, I just tried to diversify my numbers a little bit. And I went with the 3 sheep, 6 ore, 9 lumber spot with a city. So my commodities should be really high in terms of production. But still, I kind of lament the fact that my settlement may not have been the best choice. I think I really should have gone for the 3 sheep, 4 wheat, 8 brick spot. And you're going to see later on this game why that was definitely the better placement for the starting settlement. But let's check out what Orange is doing. Orange throws a city down, and they're kind of like me. They got the second best spot for getting all 3 types of commodities with their city, possibly rolling in. The 5 is really good. The 6 is really good. The 11 is all right. But then again, my 3 is all right. So we're kind of neck and neck there. So we'll see how the commodities race turns out and the city improvements, who can get metropolises first before anyone else. And Gray does a great job of getting on the 3, 4, 8 spot with their city. So they're probably going to get the green metropolis, if I'm being honest. You know, of course it depends on the dice rolls, but having paper coming in from 2 separate numbers is hard to beat. 2 very good numbers, a 4 and an 8. Whereas, I mean, you could have paper coming in from like a 3, 11, 12, but that's not going to be nearly as good as a 4 and an 8, or even just an 8 on its own, just in terms of dice probability. So we're trying to roll ourselves a 4 or 11. The other reason for placing my city on commodity-heavy hexes was to also grab a sheep and a stone to start out with, so that hopefully all I have to do is roll a 4 or an 11 to get the wheat so I can have an activated knight for when the barbarians inevitably attack our land, and we can defend our city and let it see another day. Let it live to see some more dice rolls for some more resources and commodities to come our way. Orange is going to roll a nice 8. Unfortunately, I don't have an 8. I really should have built on that 8. I would have had a brick coming in, and it would have been able to build roads and settlements a lot faster than it took me this game. I think that was a big hindrance to my gameplay. Man, you think brick is just really not that important in Cities and Nights, but then you're like, you know, you got to expand outward a little bit before you start upgrading everything into cities. And you got to expand out, at least grab a port initially, because you're not getting any merchants or merchant fleets coming in, because initially you don't have any cloth already paid for the upgrades on the yellow side, so you're not getting those progress cards early on in the game. You're not really getting many progress cards early in the game, So that makes a port that much more important. And you're not building on a port to start out with unless you just have some crazy strategy you're working with. So therefore, you need the roads and the settlement to get to a port early on. But I do get a knight on the board. I do activate it. And I do have level 1 on the green city improvements. And I have a paper in hand waiting for another paper from a 9. So we can get to level 2. And hopefully, maybe even the science bonus in the first quarter of this game. That would be nice. But as it usually goes, it usually takes about halfway through a game of Cities and Knights to grab the science bonus. I have had it one time, maybe twice, where I did get the science bonus before the barbarians attacked for the first time. But then again, my city was on 2 or 3 lumber hexes, and I was definitely not going to get a knight to protect the city. I was just exclusively trying to get the science bonus as fast as possible, and that is actually not a bad strategy. If the dice rolls are going your way, and you basically get 6 paper before the barbarians attack, you can get the science bonus, and then you can guarantee that within a few turns you'll be able to save up the cards to get a city and put it back on the board, and then hopefully get a knight out there and protect it. But that is not a bad strategy. It just depends on how the placements go. If you're kind of going second or last, and you can place your city on if you could get your city on a spot with 3 lumber hexes and just have all the paper on the world coming your way, of course, again, the dice rolls going your way, that is a very, very good spot to be in. One of the things that I would love to see is if someone could get a metropolis before the barbarians come for the first time. I mean, that might be too insane. Maybe before they come a second time. If that can happen in any online multiplayer match, I would absolutely love to see that. I might even try to do it myself. But again, very unorthodox, outside the normal realm of good tried and true strategies. So if you look at the title of this video, we are kind of showcasing not me, but another player. And so far, I'm not going to say who it is. Try to figure out if it's orange or gray that I'm talking about. But from their initial settlement and city placements to how they're playing the game with protecting their city, expanding in terms of roads and settlements, and upgrading the cities, and of course city improvements. And of course, later on you'll be able to tell by victory points alone. But see if you can figure out who is the very good player that we are playing against. So, okay, at this point, because I didn't build on that 8 brick, the 11 gets rolled, so I do get a wheat, but I'm kind of getting stunted here. I'm kind of getting held back because I would have been able to probably build a road and a settlement by now, here almost 9 minutes into the game. But I'm just not able to do that. If I was, I would have gone for the 3-for-1 port first, down at the bottom left of your screen, and then after that, my next move, I don't know, because I could upgrade the settlement on the 3-sheet 411 wheat to a city and get a bunch of wheat and the occasional 3 throwing me a cloth and a sheep. But I think I would rather actually go for another settlement either on the 9 wood, 10 wheat, 2 sheep, or go for another spot on the 6 ore and upgrade that into a city and have a bunch of coin coming in. Because right now it looks like I'm in the best position to get the blue metropolis. I have the best spot for coin. Orange does have a city on 11, but unless they get an inventor and swap that 11 out for 5 or a 9, I'm going to be in the best spot to get that blue metropolis. And what do you know, if 5 does get rolled and orange gets a paper off the 5 plus 2 lumber, So they're not doing too shabby at all. And even though Gray has a city on a 4 lumber and an 8 lumber, it looks like Orange is getting ready to build on the 4 lumber, 9 lumber, 11 ore. If they upgrade that settlement into a city, Gray is going to be in big trouble with going for the Green Metropolis, because having a 4, 5, and 9 all producing lumber and paper, plus if Orange can get some cloth going off of the 6 sheep, they can potentially get Merchant and throw. Obviously, they would throw Merchant right on the one of their lumber hexes. So that is a very, very good strategy right there. We'll have to see what happens as time goes along, as the turns keep coming in. So a 4 got rolled. I got a wheat, and I'm not doing so hot in terms of production. I'm not getting a lot of resources and commodities coming in. I'm still kind of stuck. I got 2 knights, so I will definitely win Defender of Catan, at least I think, assuming Orange does not activate both of their knights. But again, we'll see. I really want to see if 3, 6s, and 9s can just get rolled a bunch. But what do you know, it's an 8, and that 8 keeps reminding me of what I should have been built on. And actually, it's interesting. If you look at the ports laid out, there's 4, if I'm not mistaken, 3 for 1 ports. There's 1 over by the desert and the 12 brick hex, and then there's 3 at the bottom of the screen. Is that how it goes in Basic Catan? I thought there was maybe 2 or 3 for 1 ports in Basic Catan, but in Cities and Knights, yeah, because we have there's 5 ports for the 1 for each resource. Wow, is there really 9 ports on this board? I think Basic Catan maybe has 7 ports. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, because we have the ore port, the wheat port, brick port, sheep port, lumber port. Wow. And this board is a standard Basic Catan board. It's only 5, 18, 21, 24 hexes. No, hang on. 5. Okay, let's do our math correctly. 5 plus 8 is 13. 13 plus 6, 19. It's a 19 hex board with 9 ports. That's crazy. I never really realized that. But go look at Basic Catan and tell me how many ports there are in there. I think there's only 7. I don't see Basic Catan having 4 ports, but it's the same number of hexes on the board, so maybe I'm just psyching myself out. Oh, here goes Inventor. Now Orange wisely swaps out the 11, so now they have a 5. And look at that smart use of the Inventor progress card. I sometimes don't use Inventor very smartly. You've seen it in some of my past Cities and Knights videos if you watch those. But Orange goes ahead, throws a 5 down next to a 5 they already have. So if they get Alchemist, they're going to Alchemist a 5, and hopefully the robber won't be on their hex if they do that. Hopefully, that's what they're thinking. So they can get a maximum amount of cards off of dice roll. That would be very, very nice. Plus, they're in a prime position to build that settlement on now the 4 lumber, 9 lumber, 5 ore. Man, big things are happening for them. So it looks like they have a lot of momentum. But then again, you look at Gray. Gray does have a settlement on the brick port, and they have 8 and 10 bringing in brick. They did essentially quadruple down on the 8s. If you think about it, they have 2 8s. So every time an 8 is rolled, they're getting a road plus an extra lumber plus a paper. So that is very hot for them. If they were to, I think what they might do is upgrade either the city on the 8 lumber and the 10 brick, or now that they just built that settlement on the 3 sheep, 5 or 10 wheat, they might upgrade that into a city instead of the one right below it on the 8 brick, because it's going to bring more commodities in on the other settlement because of the 3 sheep and the 5 ore. Wow. Both players right now are And look at Orange. They go ahead and they build that settlement right there. Both of them are doing really good right now, so it's really hard to tell if you're a viewer which one that I think is the very good player. Because their initial early game, play style, their initial early game strategy is just very good. They're not skipping a beat. They're doing exactly what they need to do to play, I think, to the best of their ability with what they have on the board, with the way this board is set up. Now, it's going to get kind of crowded here because no one is really going to want to go to the left side of the board. There is the 6 sheep, but beyond that, there's a 12 brick, there's a desert hex, and there's an 11. Unless they're really hungry for that stone port, which would only be myself or Orange. Orange having 2 ore and a coin coming in every time a 5 is rolled. But I really think they're not going to be super worried about building 1, 2, 3, 4 roads just to get that stone port when it's only going to also bring you a desert and 11 wheat. So I think they're just going to wait for a merchant fleet, or probably just ignore it altogether and just keep playing their game and not waste resources going over there. So a 9 gets rolled. Paper is coming our way. Looks like our 3rd paper. I get a Defender of Catan victory point, so really the other 2 players have the momentum. You see Gray's at 6 now. I did get a victory point, but it was just Defender of Catan. I don't think I'm going to be able to utilize the Defender of Catan strategy where I just keep getting those victory points throughout the whole game, because I really need to get something going in terms of another city or another settlement to really kick things in gear for my gameplay. But you see, I did get a 3rd paper, so it looks like the science bonus will be mine very shortly, assuming Orange doesn't have a progress card to steal anything from me, and assuming I don't roll a 7, because I think I have more than 7 cards. I do have 10. I don't have a city wall, but it's okay. I roll a 10. I would have burned the other cards anyway just to get the science bonus, because the science bonus over almost anything is the most important thing to me in Cities and Nights, unless I had like a chance to trade in a bunch of paper to get a 4th whatever commodity to get a different color metropolis, then sure. But the science bonus, which I just get, is super vital. And you see I get it right before the 18-minute mark, so just a little bit before halfway through the game. So that's really going to help me out in some key situations later in the game. And you see 11 got rolled. I wish, a different number got rolled, mainly being a 9 or a 6. At this point, I want a 6, a 9, or none of my numbers so that I can start cashing in on the science bonus and start drawing brick from that, one brick at a time. But now, of course, because I got the science bonus, my numbers are going to get rolled exclusively. So the 11 gets rolled, now a 3. 3 is not that bad. Although I really want to be on that 3-for-1 port to trade in all this sheep. It's not going to be super useful to me. And then the game's just like, let's throw you another 3. So I'm like, actually, we can keep that going because now I have 2 cloth. And I'm going to get the trade level 2 on the Yellow City Improvement side. I get a city wall off an engineer. That's free. And I do have 5 sheep, so I kind of got to burn those. I got to do something with them. I got a 4-for-1. I can activate my other knight with one of my wheat. So I am in a prime position to once again get Defender of Catan. Of course, assuming no one has Deserter. Or, just Deserter. Or Intrigue. Intrigue could still hurt me because if they place a road that touches one of my knights and then they use Intrigue, that will force me to move the knight. But if I don't have another road off of the road that the knight is on, or on the other side of that city, or the settlement, depending on if they were able to get over to the knight that I have on the 4 wheat, then my knight will just be forced off the board because it has to go somewhere, and if it can't, then it has to go off the board. So that's why sometimes you got to watch out for that. It's beneficial to have multiple roads placed on a road system that you have a knight on. So just keep that in mind. A 6 gets rolled. Orange does get cloth, so I'm kind of keeping an eye on that because we're all in a race here. I am at level 3 on the green side. I'm at level 2 on the yellow side. So I'm kind of wondering, do I have a chance to swipe the green Metropolis before gray gets to it? Because gray also has the science bonus, which, as you can see, is very, very helpful for them. They do have some good diversity in numbers, though, so they're not drawing from it a whole lot. I think the only numbers they're missing are 2, 12, and a 9. It looks like they have 3, 4, 5. Oh, no, they're missing 6 as well. So they have 3, 4, 5, 10, 11. 3, 4, 5, 8, 10, 11. So they're missing 2, 6, 9, and 12. So basically, I don't think 2s and 12s have gotten rolled at all this game so far. So really only when a 6 and a 9 get rolled. Basically when orange and I only get cards, gray is not, but they're still drawing from science bonus. So they still got a little something going on. Plus they're getting a healthy amount of progress cards from all their city improvements. And what do you know? Another 11 just when I kind of don't really want it. I would prefer the brick, because if I got the brick, I would have been able to throw a settlement down on that 3-for-1 port at the bottom of your screen. But I just draw another wheat, and I can't really do anything with my hand. So if a 7 gets rolled, I'm going to burn a bunch of cards. And it's an 8. And now, what do you think I'm going to take? Actually, I'm going to take a stone. Because I don't know. I really don't know. I think I should have gone for the brick instead and built the settlement before the city. Usually you build the city before the settlement, but in certain cases, I think you got to go for the city in terms of getting a port, and then it's easier to trade for things. And then I think if you're in a scenario where you should build the settlement before the city, I think it kind of goes like this. You're getting a port, and then you're going to get a city that much faster. Because eventually you're going to upgrade one of your settlements to a city, and then move from there and build another, then next step, another settlement, and then to a city later on. But I think that's the general progression. I think that's my strategy that I'm going to try to adopt from now on. The only time I build a settlement for a city is if it's going to either cut someone off, get a good port, or bring in a different resource that I didn't really have, or some really good production. Yeah, mainly those 4 reasons. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to try to remember that and implement it into my continually, slowly growing mastery of Catan, hopefully. So now I do get the settlement, and keep in mind, Gray and I are still neck and neck. We both have science bonus, but I have 1 paper. I don't know how many paper they have. I haven't really been following along, but we'll see what happens this turn. A 7 does get rolled. You see they have 2 cities on the 8 lumber, so 2 papers coming their way every time 8 is rolled. And we know it just got rolled recently because I took an ore off of the science bonus when 8 got rolled. They steal from me off the 7. Thankfully, they did not steal my paper. Are they going to get the green Metropolis this turn? They're thinking some things through. They do have a brick port. Wow. I just realized how crazy that is. If an 8 gets rolled, they get 2 paper, 2 lumber, and 2 brick, and they're on a brick port, so they can 2-for-1 the brick for a 3rd paper. Wow. I don't really, even if I take the green Metropolis before they do, I'm going to have a hard time keeping it and trying to get 5 more paper to permanently keep it before they can gather up the paper they need to take it back from me. So thankfully orange shuts down the 8 lumber. That is the hottest hex on this board by far. Okay, let's see what we got here. We have 2 active knights. Oh, I have the level 2 active knight, and there are no other active knights on the board. And you see that orange builds the road down off of their 5 or 9 lumber. So it looks like they're going to try to sneak in to that 9 lumber, 10 wheat, 2 sheep spot. So I'm kind of at a crossroads. I kind of wanted that spot. I also wanted to build on the 6 ore again, but I'm also looking at gray because gray built a road like they're going to go down to the 8 brick 4 wheat spot, and that's also a good spot. So I have 3 different options as to what I can try to go for here. But for right now, I do trade in 3 of my lumber to get a 3rd coin. I get the politics bonus. So I have blue level 3. I don't think anyone else is near me in terms of blue city improvements. So I can kind of rest assured that I'm going to be able to get that metropolis before anyone else does. And you see an 8 just got rolled. So yes, this may be Gray's turn that they get the green metropolis. Although the robber is on the 8 lumber, so they did not get 2 paper, but the 8 brick will allow them to trade in 2 brick for 1 paper. But they passed their turn, so we can still go another turn. 3s are decently good this game. I was surprised. So I am looking good here. I am at level 2 on the yellow city improvements. I have 3 sheep that I can 3 for 1. Let's see, no 7. Okay, we get an 11. Not the best number, but you know what? I have it, so we got to go with it. I am keeping an eye on that 11 ore because Gray just got a stone a coin off of that 11. So I will go ahead, use medicine. And, you know, I did go for the city on the 3 sheep, 411 wheat. I still think I should have gone for a settlement and an eventual city on the 9 lumber or the 6 ore, but we'll see how things play out. We're all kind of neck and neck at this point. We're a little bit past halfway. A 7 gets rolled, and Gray is going to put it on me and orange. Steal my paper. They have 11 cards. They didn't have to burn cards from a 7 because they had 11 cards because they in fact have 3 city walls. So they are just fine. And they still did not get the green metropolis. But I'm very worried because they stole my paper. I'm really in no position to get 4 paper in these next few turns. But they probably have 3 paper, if not 4. Well, obviously, if they had 4, they would have got it. So they probably have 2 or 3 paper right now. And another 8 is going to basically give it to them. So, man, if they get it, that's going to put them up to 10 victory points. And again, they have that road pointing off of their knight on the 8 brick. We'll see with Diplomat. Oh, Orange does a very smart play. They take away that road. They recognize that was going to allow Gray to get the 9 points, and then the Metropolis is right around the corner, boosting them to 11. So very smart play to do that. Although there was no other green or orange roads that were open-ended that they could steal from. They could only move one of their roads that they had placed down in between the 5 ore and the 9 lumber. I throw Bishop down that 5 lumber because it's too hot, and I wanted to steal a card from both players. And I have 8 wheat at this point, and I'm going to see if I can swipe a paper from Gray, but we'll see what he gives us. He might have a different commodity. If we get a paper, we can get the Metropolis right now. We can get that green Metropolis, keep it out of his hands, but he gives us a cloth. And I have 7 wheat. If I just had 2 more wheat, I would have been able to take his Metropolis. If I would have had Merchant, if, I know. And you can see I'm pointing the road to possibly get on the 6 ore again. And I think I should have done that. I really think I should have. Or I should have gone for the 4 wheat, 8 brick spot. I do decide to double down, or I guess triple down eventually on the 6 ore, but I should have fought for Gray for the 4 wheat, 8 brick spot because they recognized that they had a brick port, that 8s were hot. They could alchemist 8 if they ever got alchemist, and that would have just really boosted their gameplay ahead of everyone else's. And they finally get the green Metropolis late in the game when someone gets a Metropolis. That is a huge power play. So now they're at 10 victory points, and that you can basically kiss that Metropolis goodbye. If Orange was able to get a city on the 4 lumber, 9 lumber, 5 ore, they might have a chance of taking it back, but I think at this point it's too late. They should have had that city on there by now. And Gray goes ahead, they build 2 roads, so they're in a prime position as they take my cloth with trade monopoly and get level 3 on the yellow city improvement side. Okay, a 9 gets rolled. I do get some paper, but again, too little too late. And trying to figure out what I should do here, because I'm kind of in panic mode because it looks like Gray's going to win. And yes, I will tell you guys, Gray was the very good player. They didn't completely dominate the game, but they just played so well that they were just kind of ahead of me and Orange one step of the way, almost every step of the way this whole game. They got the resource monopoly going. Oh, that's Orange, by the way. And it looks like Orange, and actually all of us, were all at 4 knights apiece in knight strength. So if I bring in the barbarians, which I don't, but look at that 8 go. Wow. That's 6 cards for Gray. That's 1 card for me off the science bonus. And I'm really in a tough spot because there's so many things that I have to do to hold Gray back. I have to try to steal his green Metropolis. I have to try to get on that 4 wheat, 8 brick spot before he does. Maybe think about Longest Road, but I really want Orange to take Longest Road so that way Gray doesn't think about trying to swipe it here late in the game. Because still, this is another late game Cities and Night scenario when no one's taking Longest Road. Orange is 1 away. Gray just has to build 2 more roads and they have it. Me, I got to build 3 more. But you gotta also, there's so many things to think about. There's so many different ways to get victory points in Cities and Nights. So it's something critical to keep in mind. And here is a very big mistake on my part. I had the option, because keep in mind, I have the trade bonus because I have level 3 on the yellow city improvements. So that allows me to trade any 2 of the same commodity in at a 2-for-1 rate. So I do steal a knight, but then I instead of doing 2 paper for a brick and then 3 of my wheat for a lumber and having a wheat left over, I should have built 2 roads at the bottom of your screen and stolen that settlement position from Gray on the 8 brick and the 4 wheat. But instead I cut off Orange. I never cut off the player who's doing worse than the other opponent player. I always cut off the person who is doing better off, and it just makes sense. But this one time, for whatever reason, I thought I needed the 9 lumber, 10 wheat, 2 sheep spot more. But that is not at all the case. I should not have been playing so selfishly. I should have been thinking about extending the game out and then blocking Gray so that they would have to go build somewhere else and spend more resources and possibly take a few more turns to do so. That was a huge mistake on my part. Of course, you watch the gameplay back and you realize what you did wrong. And that could have been a game changer right there. That one turn. I wish I could have been able to see what happened if I end up taking that spot. Because what do you know, the next turn Gray is able to build the settlement there. And I'm left here wondering, man, if I was able to get on that spot before them, they would have had to backtrack and build somewhere else. I do get Defender of Catan, though. It's a small consolation prize for my big mistake. And it is a 9, so I do get some more paper. But again, I don't think I'm going to be able to get 9 paper anytime soon. Plus, it looks like Gray maxed out the Green City Improvement, so that's his forever. Okay, so what can we do here? Do we have? Yep, they have it maxed out forever. So is there any damage control? We see that orange needs to take longest road because now gray is 2 roads away from winning the game. So they pass the dice to me. So I'm wondering what can be done. A 6 gets rolled. I do get a nice coin. I'm kind of torn because I have level 3 on all the colors, yellow, green, and blue. I could get that blue Metropolis, but no one's really fighting for it, and I got to see if I can block gray somehow. There's no way I can pull them back down in victory points because they've already maxed out the green Metropolis. They don't have longest road. I can't take it from them, but if there's some way I can stop them from trying to get it, because I think that might be their next play, because they're 2 roads away. That's 4 cards. They need 2 lumber and 2 brick to win the game, essentially. So and they have 11 cards in their hand. I'm really, like I said, in panic mode. We're scared here, so we use irrigation. And I got a 2-for-1 my paper because it's really not useful anymore. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to get the yellow Metropolis because I recognized that gray was at level 3 with the yellow city improvements. So preventing them from having 2 ways to win, getting that Metropolis or taking longest road, taking one of those out of the equation is the best thing you can do really in this scenario. So we're both at 11. Yep, they have level 3 on the yellow city improvements. So because it's so late in the game, I'm not going to be even worried about trying to get level 5 on the yellow city improvements. I'm just going to keep it at 4. And then my next move is to see if I can get a city or get maybe take longest road myself. Because I'm only 3 roads away from taking longest road. So maybe if orange doesn't take it, I could swipe, kind of move in there and take it. But then gray goes and upgrades to a city just like that, and then they throw a road down the board. They have 4 roads. They're 1 road away from winning, getting to 14 instead of the 13 required to win. They have 5 cards, 2 progress cards. It's seemingly all over. What can we do? Wow, that 8 brick spot turned out to be very pivotal in this game. Man, I just wish I built on it, or I wish I stole it from gray. Even though I didn't build on it, I still had a chance to turn this game around in my favor. So now I'm yelling in the chat. I'm like, orange, you got to take longest road. You're lagging behind at 6 points. You got to do something. You got to be the one to hold longest road because we know you're not going to win. But if you can hold it away from gray, then we still have a chance because you'll see that gray has 4 cities on the board, so they have to go somewhere else and build a settlement. Because in standard First Island Cities and Knights, you only get 4 cities. Once you put them on the board, they're out there forever. Of course, unless you lose one due to the barbarians attacking and the island getting defeated. But they're out there permanently as far as we're concerned for right now. So I really need orange to take longest road because gray is only looking to expand and build a settlement somewhere or take longest road. That's pretty much their only 2 options. Of course, unless they draw a merchant card or draw a lucky free victory point card from one of the progress card stacks. But we're really hoping that doesn't happen. Or hoping someone else gets merchant instead, namely me. So I'm able to give gray a brick, and it looks like they are able to take longest road, connect up the road systems. I'm very happy about that, as you can see. And now we know that gray can't take longest road so easily, so it looks like they're going to have to build out somewhere and build a settlement. So recognizing that, my turn's going to come up, so I'm going to look to try to cut off where I think they're going. It looks like they're trying to build out to that 6 sheep. All I have to do is build 1 road and throw a knight down to block their path, because their level 2 knight is deactivated. So they have to wait a whole turn to active. They have to activate it and then wait another whole turn to move it to displace my knight, and then keep building roads on their way to that 6 sheep. So really, that's my only play that I could see at this point. I'm at 11. I can't take longest road. I don't have the cards to do it. I can't trade 2 stone for 1 brick. That would have, even if I could, that would only give me 2 roads total that I could build. So I'm hopefully trying to trade it off to orange. Maybe orange will hook it up, but orange will not. Neither will gray. But I wasn't surprised by gray. But man, gray just had a great game. And it was mostly, kudos to them, but I kind of helped them out by not building on that 4 wheat, 8 brick spot. I really should have done it, because the fact that they threw a city down on that spot as well after throwing a settlement down just kind of adds insult to injury for me. Because right now I would have been at 12 victory points if I had placed a settlement there, and if I was able to throw a city on that, man, that would have been the victory. Sometimes you're just so close to winning, but there's just 1 or 2 mistakes. And this is why when you watch the Catan World Championships, those people don't make any mistakes. They know exactly what to do in every scenario. They are true masterminds of Catan. But that's just basic Catan. Cities and Knights, of course, way more strategy. But of course, there are masterminds of Cities and Knights out there. We just haven't. I don't know. Are there world championships for Cities and Knights, or is it just basic Catan? I think it's just basic Catan, as far as I know. So here we go. Gray's gonna do something here. It looks like they're trying to maybe get some more roads out on the board. I did play the knight to block them from going that way. But of course, they can go the opposite way. They could go over to the 11 ore and the 2 sheep spot if they so desire and build a settlement there. But it will take them a couple turns to do that. So we still have a sliver of a chance here to make something happen. Off the 7, they do steal from us. They do have a good amount of cards, but we know that they can't build a city, so they do have to do a little bit of trading in and trying to make something happen. They do have 3 progress cards, though. I have Merchant, so if I can throw Merchant down the board, I'll be at 12, and then I'll be 3 cards away from getting a city on the board. And then what do you know? Gray also had Merchant. Of course, there's multiple Merchants in the yellow progress card stack. Gray just throws it down, gets the extra victory point from it, goes to 13, and we're done for. We're donezo. Thanks for watching, guys. If you want to play Cities and Knights really well, look at Gray. I mean, I think I did pretty well except for that one big mistake. But, man, Gray just had it in the bag this whole game. They did just textbook Cities and Knights, nothing crazy. Upgrade the settlements into cities. Got a metropolis. Man, just played very well all around. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I win next video, right? Take care.